Hi friends, I'm Carla Turner, and today I will take you through an intermediate reformer Pilates flow, focusing on our upper body and our core. So we're talking strength, control, and mobility being our focus for the next 45 minutes. Okay, let's start with a medium and a light spring. So for me on this Aero Pilates machine, a little bit different. So I'm going to have two black. Okay, most reformers medium and light, and we'll come to the very edge of our reformer. Legs can extend over top of that foot bar. Maybe you're at the backs of the knees. Maybe you're more on your calves like me. Either way, we want to be on the very edge of the carriage. Arms come straight out, slowly rolling down one vertebra at a time until we're all the way down. And hopefully you've landed so that your head is on your headrest. So always a good idea to double check that your headrest is all the way down. We're going to start just with some breaths here. So taking a big deep breath in through the nose, feeling our rib cage expand. Rib cage knits together. Inhale. So I'm thinking about my deep core muscles here. You can think your pelvic floor coming up as we exhale and relaxing as we inhale. Last one. We'll move through some pelvic tilts. So you can imagine a glass of water on your pelvis. We're starting by tilting the pelvis, that glass of water threatening to spill on our stomach, and then tilting toward the thighs. So a little tiny movement. You might even be able to see there's like a little space underneath my low back as I move from this posterior tilt to this anterior tilt. And then starting with our hinge bridges, we want to find where we have a neutral spine. So they're the natural curves of my spine are maintained. And I prefer to have my arms by my sides. Heels are hip distance apart onto that foot bar. Feet are flexed. Take a big deep breath in. As you exhale, pick your bum up, send your hips up to the ceiling, and then lower back down again. So you might notice right out of the gate, light springs. You could always add another medium spring on, even a light spring, to keep yourself stabilized here. Feet stay flexed. I'm really trying to use my hamstrings and glutes to keep that carriage into the stopper. Inhale to prepare, exhale to come up. Next time we come up, we stay up, pressing the carriage out, bending to come back in. Last one, and then come all the way down. Good. Let's bring our heels together, toes apart, moving into an articulated bridge. So we're tucking the pelvis, low back presses into the carriage, scooping the belly, peeling ourselves up, and then lowering back down again. So we're warming up the body. Certainly you can probably feel it into your legs and glutes. Our abs are working here, and all just part of our warm up before we dive into really focusing on the upper body and core. And then next time we come up, we'll stay up, extending the legs, bending and coming back in again. So with my heels together, my legs really trying to get that feeling of squeezing together without arching my back. Last one, out. And then we'll come all the way in, down bone by bone, just like we came up. A little bit of single leg bridging here, just to challenge the body, working unilaterally. I'm gonna bring my arches onto the foot bar, trying to wrap my feet around the foot bar. I do not have curly feet, okay? I can usually tell when someone's been a dancer. Their feet curl really nicely around that foot bar, not me. So we do our best, middle of the foot, that feeling of wrapping anyways. Moving into our bridge, coming up high, one leg at a time comes to tabletop. We're marching, trying to put our foot right back where we found it. Trickier yet with this light spring we've got. Next time your right leg is in tabletop, staying in tabletop, lowering and lifting your hips. Checking that your knee is right above your hip versus knee falling in toward the belly button or chest. Last one, and we'll come all the way down. We can switch feet, right foot, maybe slightly closer to the midline of the body here. Wrapping that foot around as best as it will go, and then we're lifting and lowering. Modification, you could always bring that foot from the foot bar onto the platform, beneath the foot bar. Last one, come all the way down. Okay, quick figure 4 stretch. One leg over top of the other one, pulling in toward you. And then we can switch legs. So opening up into the front of the body a little bit with that bridging. And then since we're already on these light springs, we can reach for our straps. Short loops coming into our hands, arms come up to the ceiling. So first thing I'm going to do is press away so my wrists are directly above my shoulders. Legs come to tabletop and I'm tucking my pelvis here, finding that posterior tilt, low back presses into the carriage. Take a big deep breath in. As you exhale, arms come down to your sides. Inhale to come back up again. That exhale to lower the arms, chest lift optional. Inhale to come down. And you can point or flex your feet. I just like to do one or the other so I've got some energy into the feet and calves. Usually travels up through the leg too, the upper leg. And we can add a toe tap. Next time your arms come down, one foot comes down to tap by the springs, legs to tabletop, head down. We alternate. Really checking that we're curling up nice and high, easily looking between the inner thighs. Because if we're looking at the ceiling, there's a good chance that we're just straining the neck. And you'll be thinking about me tomorrow for all the wrong reasons. All right, last one, coming to tap the foot down. Let's stay up in that chest lift, alternating toe taps. And we could add a tricep press. So it's a little bit like tapping the head and rubbing the belly. Lots going on. Last two, last one, and then you can come all the way down, resting the feet and arms if you like. Okay, arms can come back up to the ceiling. Legs are in tabletop. I'm going to separate my legs a little bit so I've got some space between the legs. So I'll start by going on either side of my hips just like we did before. Big deep breath in. As you exhale, arms come to your sides. Next time you come back up again, we're going to frame just the left leg. One hand between the legs, one to the left hip. And then I switch over to the other hip. Now I'm back to both sides. So I go from perfectly centered to framing the left leg, framing the right leg, back down again to square one here. Good. So pay attention to what your tabletop legs are doing. I can feel mine kind of starting to chill a bit because my brain is so busy trying to remember what I'm supposed to do next. One more to each side. And then we'll come back through center. When your arms come down, both legs can shoot long, both legs bend, head goes down. Arms come to that left thigh, both legs shoot long, bend, head down. So on purpose, we're being very methodical about what we're doing here. Separating one part of this exercise at a time. We're going to make this the last time because we're just getting started here. Last one, and then come all the way down. Good. Okay, arms can come down by our sides. We'll flip our palms to face our thighs, legs back to tabletop, pelvis is tucked here. Opening and closing the arms. Abduction, adduction. I like to call these guys snow angels. Feels like I'll be in the snow making snow angels. If you're going to add your chest lift, you're going to do it when your arms come to your sides. Head down, arms up. We make it easier keeping the head down, more challenging by keeping the head up the whole time. Next time your arms are by your sides, single leg stretch. One leg goes long. Both legs come back to tabletop, reaching that other leg long. Last one, holding up, alternating legs here for 3, 2, and 1. Good, come all the way down. Okay, tricep taps. Our arms are bent, fingertips or fists here, staying reaching up to the ceiling. Legs are in tabletop, reaching my arms up to the ceiling and then back down again. So it's like I'm washing a wall, hands straight up and down against this invisible wall here. Single leg stretch. Arms go up, leg goes long. So another way to work the abs here are core muscles without adding a chest lift. Double leg stretch. Both legs go long toward the ceiling. when my arms go to the ceiling. Last one. And then we can glue our heels together, double straight leg, lower and lift. I'm not lowering my legs super far because I still want to keep that imprinted spine. Last two. And then last one, knees can come back in toward us. Lovely. All right, let's hang our straps back down onto that mat here. We can bring our knees into our chest, rocking from side to side. And then we can bring our legs to tabletop. Let's come all the way up to seated. Okay. We are going to come to a lighter spring. So for most of us at home, that'll be like a medium spring. For me on this machine, I'm coming to a black and a yellow. If you also have a similar machine, that will bring us closer to a medium spring. I'm going to start by facing the risers, coming into a kneel here. So facing the risers, grabbing onto the hardware, or you can grab onto the ropes here. So sitting up nice and tall or coming up nice and high into this high kneel, straight arms pull back, straight arms release forward. Exhaling as I pull back. Exhaling on the effort. Inhaling as I come back in. So I like to tuck my feet around the back of the carriage. I feel a bit more stable that way. I know some people like to move forward so their knees or thighs are up against the shoulder blocks. Not wrong. Let's pull back, hold here, look to the right, look left, release the arms forward. Pulling back, right, left, and then forward. One more time, pulling back, right, left, and then forward. I'm going to bring my hands into my straps so that the pinky side of my hands are into the short loop. Palms face my body, pressing back, releasing forward. So now I'm getting more into the backs of the arms. As long as you're okay with changing your springs a fair amount, you could come to like a heavier spring for this chest expansion series, as long as our shoulders don't come up to our ears. Next time your arms are by your sides, we stay here. Side arm, arms lift, arms lower, aiming to keep the carriage relatively still for 3, 2, and then last one, come all the way down. Flip your palms to face the risers. So all I've done is flipped my hands here without reorganizing the straps. Palms face the risers, press back. I need a bit of a soft bend into my arm here. You probably do at home too. So we're not locking out the joints. Last two. And then last one, arms by our sides. We look right, left, release forward. 2 more, pulling back, right, left, and forward. One more time, right, left, and forward. Good. Okay, let's cross our straps. We'll come into a cactus series here. With my springs right now, I'm going to use my long loops. You're always welcome to use your short ones instead. So arms are straight. I'm going to move a little bit closer to my shoulder blocks. Arms are out in front. My palms and my elbows come closer together and then out to the side here. Good. Forward and back. Aiming not to lean back at all. Good. Opening and closing the arms out to the sides. Opening and closing. Good. Last one, keeping those arms out to the side. We reach up to the ceiling and then back down again. You could aim maybe at about a 45-degree angle, like so, if your shoulders or neck bother you. Last two. And then last one, come all the way down. Let's grab onto the silver hardware. So still staying up nice and high here, coming into a wide row. Hands come in toward your armpits. Usually my favorite upper body exercise. Nice and tall. Maybe choking up higher for more strength. So we are practicing. What I do today, I can promise you will not be perfect, so don't expect the same from yourself. Last one, and then come all the way forward. One arm at a time, and we add rotation. I'm gonna go a little wider with my stance here. Right arm rose, I'm looking over my right shoulder, and then switching. Left arm rose. That other arm is just hanging out. It's for decoration. Last two. And then last one on each side. Lovely. Okay, while we're here, kind of an arm break, still using our upper body and certainly our core. We're going to scooch back just a little bit. I'm going to keep my springs on that same medium type of spring setting. And then we'll bring our hands onto the carriage. So if you have a Pilates box, you could bring your forearms onto that box, or you could come down on your headrest here, okay? Since our feet won't be up on the foot bar, we don't have to worry so much about being at an awkward angle if we are on our forearms. Okay, feet up against the platform, hands on the carriage. Pressing the carriage away, finding long arms and a long spine. Hover your knees. This is step one. You could just hang out here, or we come into jackrabbit, extending the legs, bending the legs. Exhaling on that effort. Inhaling to come back in again. Last 5 seconds. 2, and then 1, come all the way in. Good. I'm going to move a little bit closer toward my feet. If you ever feel like you're hitting that carriage too quickly, the stopper, that's a good thing to do. Move your hands closer to your feet. Okay. Let's hover the knees once again. Pressing the carriage out will come from a plank to pike, and you might really need to move your hands closer. Hips come up to the ceiling, ears come between our biceps, and then we're back into that plank. Hips lift. Back down in our plank. Five seconds. 2, and then last one, and we can come all the way into our plank to reset, bending, coming back in again. Lovely. Okay, we can add on. Coming out into that plank, pressing out nice and long. My right leg is going to come above my foot bar here, lifting and lowering that right leg. We could add on, moving that carriage out an inch, in an inch. Last 2, last 1, come all the way in. Good. We got to get to the second leg. We got to even things out. All right, energy in the hands. Hover the knees. Press the carriage out. Once you've found your plank, leg can come above that foot bar. Lift and lower. Hips point down to the floor. Maybe you're adding in that hinge forward and back. Coordination. Last 2. Last 1, and then we can bend, come back in again. Very nice, guys. Let's come to child's pose. You can crawl a little bit closer toward your shoulder blocks. Feet can come together, arms can go nice and long, stretching it out, maybe onto those risers, or not on the risers, on the frame here. And then we can bring our hands over to the right side or the left side. So I like to give a good pull with my right arm, looking under my right side here to get a stretch into the side of the body. And then we switch. Left arm gives a pull. And then we'll come back to center. Okay, let's flip to the side. So I'm going to flip so that the risers are to my left, okay? I'm coming into a Z sit. If you prefer to sit crisscross applesauce, a low kneel, or even get a box and have a seat on it, you can take that option too. I'm taking off my super light spring, which is a yellow, so I'll have a light to medium spring here. Black on this machine. For a lot of other machines like Balanced Body, for instance, you would come to a blue or a blue on a button, that little screw that's right above your hook. Okay, let's make our way to our closest strap here. And I'm going to bring my free hand, my right hand onto my hip. Palm faces my cheek here, my temple, reaching straight up and then back down again. This is shave the ear. So I'm grounding both of my glutes down into the carriage. And then last one, come all the way down. So I'm going to start with my long loop. We can always go short later. Arm, my palm still facing my face for the most part, keeping my glutes down. I'm going to reach up and over toward the foot bar and then coming back. So I'm moving into that lateral flexion, that side bend, coming back up again. Long spine here. Thinking space between our ribs and pelvis on that left side. Right ribs and pelvis moving a little bit closer together. Last one, and then we'll come back up and over. Good, okay. I like to think of this as stop right now, thank you very much. Little Spice Girls here. Palm faces our foot bar. So we are going to twist at the waist. I've got my free hand to the small of my back here. I'm pressing toward the foot bar, saying no. It's a full sentence, toward that foot bar and then back. So easy, even I started to do it a little bit there, easy to kind of get like a swinging effect. We don't want that. Resistance. That's what Pilates is all about. Good. Last one. And then coming back through center. I'm going to make my way back to my short loop, just a little bit extra tension. If you don't mind changing springs kind of constantly, you could adjust for every exercise, just like you would at the gym, picking up a heavier weight or a lighter weight. So I'm going to have my hands straight out in front, keeping my hands in line with my sternum here. I'm reaching my arms up overhead and then lowering back down again. Hug the moon. Good. So I'd rather do this with a lighter spring and have better range of motion than try to muscle through and have my ears up toward my shoulders, getting into my traps, just going against everything that Pilates is all about. And then we'll add on. I'm twisting toward the foot bar. I'm adding rotation, coming back through center, reaching up overhead, adding that rotation. One more time like this, up overhead, out front, and then twisting over toward the side. Good. Okay, last but not least, and you might have to choke up a little bit higher here. We're going to, which I'm going to do right out of the gate here, we're going to come into hug a tree here, opening and closing the arms. So we can handle a little extra tension. Two more. And then last one. Very good. Okay, we are going to lie on our sides. So you could use like a small little squishy Pilates ball as a pillow, or maybe an actual pillow, a rolled up towel. You could use a number of different things. We're going to come to lie on our side. Another option, and I'm going to take this one today, is coming onto our left forearm as I'm moving into another upper body exercise. So my body is as far back as it can go, and I'm trying to take up some space by the foot bar as well. So you can grab, I'm gonna grab the long loop, arm comes up to the ceiling, boosting my left side away from the carriage, lowering and lifting that arm. And we're allowed to change our minds, and I'm gonna change my mind. I want a bit of a heavier spring here. Good. Lifting and lowering that arm. So you'll find that if you try to aim it directly to your hip, you'll probably you might notice that you'll give yourself a bit of rope burn, potential rope burn. So I'm aiming somewhere between my knee and my hip. Good. Last one. And then come all the way in, and you can relax into that side body for a second. Okay, we are going to come into a circle. Anytime I'm doing a circle, I'm not doing it behind my body. So it's all going to happen in front of my body. So I'm starting up to the ceiling, coming down to my leg, palm flips behind me, circling forward, and then I'm coming back up and around. Any kind of shoulder issues, you could keep these super small, like think like the size of a pizza, just above your leg. Trying to make them nice and symmetrical, these circles of ours, and then we'll switch directions. So we're also moving the shoulder in all directions today. Circumduction of the shoulder. We've already got our adduction, abduction in. Last one, and then calming down. My circles weren't very circular today, and that's all right. All right, arm nice and long, palm flips behind you, reaching the arm in front, and then sweeping it back in line with the body. Good. Serious tricep work here. Flexion and extension of the shoulder. Last one, arm comes by your side, relax your shoulder here. I know for glutes, sometimes I like to give a little high five. There's not much we can do with our shoulder other than take a bit of a breather. Okay, last but not least, tricep extension, bending and straightening at the elbow. Arm goes long, arm bends. Palm presses away. Last two. And then last one, arm comes all the way back in. All right, let's take a little arm break. We can come up to seated. We're going to come onto our knees here. So I want a little bit extra support. For a challenge, you could keep this light spring, but I'm going to add a little light one back on again here. So you would move closer to your medium spring, whatever spring you used when you were facing the risers. Okay, let's come on to our knees here. I'm going to bring my hands onto my little grippy that I have. So I'm going to curl my toes underneath me. I'm bringing my knees closer to the edge of the carriage here. Long legs, you could always bring your feet up against the shoulder blocks. Let's press our hands into the foot bar. Thumbs are with our fingers, hovering our knees off the carriage. I'm going to walk my feet even further forward here, extending and bending the legs, pressing the carriage away. If your wrists bother you, absolutely, you can flip around and face the other direction. That's why we did those first as a modification for those wrists. Legs go long. Taking an extra pause every time we go out. Last one, let's stay long, slow motion mountain climbers. I'm gonna bring my feet back closer together every time I come in, since this is quickly becoming a unilateral exercise. So this is full body. I know you're here for the upper body and the core, but this quickly became a full body exercise. Last one, and then we'll come all the way in. You could come to child's pose. I like to come to this little modified plank downward dog position instead, and then we'll come back. Feet are nice and close toward the edge. I'm coming onto my tippy toes, nice and high here with the heels, pressing the carriage back. Shoulders are above wrists, slight little bend, hinging at the shoulders, coming back in again. We don't have to go crazy far here. It's like an old school ab wheel. I don't know if they still have those at the gym. Maybe you use one. It's effective. Last two. And then last one, we'll come all the way in. Child's pose or a little pike here. Okay. Little walks here. So feet are pretty close to the edge of the carriage, but it's not going to matter for long because we're going to be on the move. So shoulders are above the wrists. So I'm going to keep my upper body still as I walk my feet forward and back to move that carriage forward and back. Little tiny steps forward and back. So I'm slowing down as the carriage comes in because it takes more work to resist the springs than it does when I'm pressing it away. Last 5. 2, and then last one, come all the way in. Very good, guys. Okay, wasn't a complete upper body break, right? Not completely, but we're gonna get back more focusing into our arms here. Okay, I am going to leave my springs on just the way that they are. That kind of medium tension is what we're looking for. And I'm gonna come into a high kneel. You're welcome to stay seated on your bum. Maybe you're seated on a box, especially if you had one for your planking. Palms face the foot bar. Reach the arms up. Inhale to prepare. Exhale to lift. Reverse expansion. We're not letting our arms go behind the body, so we don't want to crank that shoulder. Last one, we'll reach up nice and tall and hold. 2, and then roll back down or lower back down again as the carriage rolls back in. Okay, coming into cervitre. My arms are bent, my palms are up. Reaching forward, bending to come in. Nice and long. Let's come to offering. Arms go out. We open, close, bend, and come in. You'll notice my palms stay up. I am carrying an imaginary tray here. 2 more. And then last one. And we'll come all the way back in again. Good. Okay, triceps. So I'm grabbing on a little bit higher toward where the strap's attached to the ropes. Maybe there's not, maybe there's some silver hardware there. And we're coming into a tricep extension. So I'm bending down here, bending at the knee, bending and straightening the legs. So for a true strength workout, we need more than one round targeting the same muscles. So this is the second time we've come around to our triceps. Isolating them anyways. They've worked in other exercises. Last 3, 2, and then last one, come all the way in. Nice. Okay, we have to flip to face the other direction. So I'm flipping so that my right side is closest to my shoulder blocks. My shin, my right shin is up against those shoulder blocks. And I'm going to take off that little light spring so I'm closer to a purely light spring. Palm faces your temple here. Free hand comes to your hip, reaching up, bending back down. Shave the ear. Straight down, straight up. Really trying to ground down into that right glute. Last 2, and then last one, arm comes back down. Okay, I'm going to use my long loop on this side, just like I did on the other. Hand is still on my hip. I'm reaching up and over, lateral flexion, coming back in. And take note, maybe this side feels nicer than the other. I feel like I have more control on this side. My body's happy to go over to the left, maybe not as happy to go to the right. That's why we work unilaterally. Last 2, right glute is down. And then last one, coming all the way back in. Okay, stop right now. Thank you very much. Free hand, the left one. My palm is facing the foot bar, twisting at the waist toward the foot bar, and then back again. Slowly coming back in again. Last 2. And then last one. All right, I'm going to grab my short loop again into my closest hand, coming straight out in line with the center of my body. I'm coming into that hug the moon shape over top of my head, aiming to keep my hands in line with my sternum, chest, nose, chin, middle part if you have one. Adding our oblique twist, twisting toward the foot bar, coming back through center, back overhead. 2 more to our left. And then last one. Okay, I'm going to choke up a little higher here on my silver hardware, my strap here where it's all sewn together. Coming into hug a tree. Arms open, arms close. Hands are going to be just below your shoulders, shoulder height. 3, 2, and then last one, coming all the way in. Okay, we can ditch the strap just for a moment. If you were lying on your side facing this direction, we'll do the same facing this way. So you may need to grab that ball or pillow or whatever you were using. I'll come back onto my forearm to keep things nice and even. You could go forearm in front of shoulder blocks or behind, okay? I'll scooch down a little bit and back. My top arm is going to grab onto the short loop. Arm comes up to the ceiling, lowering and lifting that straight arm. So I'm lifting through that side oblique. So this is when it's helpful to have a mirror or any kind of reflective surface. Even if you record yourself and you might be like, I don't want to, but it's nice to watch back because we honestly don't, you might think that you're lifted up high and you might be like this. So it is helpful, even just one time. Last 2, And then last one, and we can come back in, relaxing the body for a moment. We'll come into those circles. That circumduction, arm reaches up, down, and around. Palm flips to face the thigh as we reach up and around. And after this last one, we're going to switch directions. Up and around. Palm faces the thigh. When it comes down, flips to face behind you as it goes forward. Last one, and then we'll come all the way in. Okay, a couple more here. So we'll come into that sweep forward, that flexion and extension of the shoulder, reaching my fingertips toward the fireplace in my case, whatever's in front of you. Arm comes back in line with the body. So it's like you have a little secret message on the palm of your hand and you want the person behind you to see you, to see that message. Last two. And then last one, come all the way in. I can definitely feel my left arm more than my right this time. So is it because we did more upper body stuff, we were planking, or is it because my left arm's not as strong? Tricep press here. It's a factor, something to keep in mind anyway. And I'm right-handed. Arm bends and extends. Last two. And then last one, and we can come all the way in, and you can pop that strap back down. Okay, we are going to come one more time onto our backs, and we'll come into a mat ab series here. So I'm going to flip around and give myself 2 black springs. So that's like a medium and a light for most of you. Think like a red and a blue. It's a common spring tension for medium and light. I like my headrest up, and I'm going to lie flat down on my back, scooching forward so my hips are nice and far forward here. Arms are straight out, rolling down one vertebra at a time. Feels good to lie down after all of our upper body work. Okay, legs are coming to tabletop. My low back is pressed into the carriage, and I'm going to come into a single leg stretch, the series of 5, mat ab series. Bent leg, I'm pulling that bent leg in toward me twice. Breath matches. Extend that leg super long, like someone's pulling your leg over that foot bar. 5 seconds. 2. Last one, double leg stretch. Nose is between our knees. Head stays up no matter what. Arms go long, legs long. I'm circling my arms around, but not my legs, pulling in toward myself. Exhaling. Pull in. Two. Last one. Single straight leg stretch. Both legs go long. I'm pulling on that one straight leg. My hammies are a little tight, so your leg might be nice and straight, or if they're like mine, they're not perfectly straight. I'm still certainly feeling that stretch in the back of my leg. Last 2, and then our hands come behind our head. Last one, hands behind the head, double straight leg, lower and lift. So you could keep your legs straight here, or you could bend the legs, lifting and lowering, hinging at the hips. Last 2. Last one, crisscross. Armpit toward knee. Adding that rotation. Think armpit versus elbow. Last 3. 2. Last one. Come all the way down. Nice work, guys. Okay, let's bring, for the very best part, long loops onto the arches of our feet. All right. We can bring our heels together, toes apart, bending and straightening our legs. And you do have the option, if you want to add in a little more core work, you could come to a chest lift here. Maybe your arms are hovering off the carriage, or if you prefer, your hands can come behind your head. I'll probably do a little bit of both. Head rested and arms by my sides. Let's add on. Next time your legs go long, we can point the toes, open the legs, flex to close, bend and come in. Legs long, point to open, flex, bend to come in. Still make sure you're curling up nice and high. Advice for you just as much as it is for me. Last one, legs go long. We point to open, flex to close. For 3, 2, and then last one, come all the way in. Good. Okay, we can come into swimming frog. So our legs go long, opening, bending to come in, heels come together. Open, bend, heels together. Let's switch directions. Legs bend and come in first. Open, extend, sweeping around. Last one, and then come all the way in. I'm going to add my chest lift back. I've kind of been finding this flow of up for the first exercise, down for the next one. Let's continue alternating, lowering and lifting the straight legs. Good. And sometimes it feels like our hands should come behind our head. Sometimes you'll find out pretty quickly those ropes will attack you. Kind of depends how low you're going. Last one. And then I'm going to come into Peter Pan. Left leg bends, right leg goes out to the side. Both legs go long. Alternating. Head could be up, or take that option to rest your head and neck. And then last one, 2 separate circles. Each leg draws its own circle. So we really focused into the chest and the triceps. Goodness knows the deep core muscles today. Other way here. And then last one, let's stretch. I'm going to bend my left leg. Right leg comes to the sky. Yes, we didn't work the lower body very much, but it's still not going to hurt at this point after doing feet and straps. Switch to give a little stretch. And then figure 4. So my right leg is already bent. I'm going to rest it on top of the left thigh, pressing that right leg away. And feet and straps is such a gift. I just feel like we have to finish with that. And then switch. Pressing away, maybe you're bending that right leg. And then we'll come back in, bending both of the legs. Bottoms of the feet can come together. You can lower down toward the springs or maybe just part way, focusing on our breath like we did at the very start. And then knees come in toward you, and we'll take both of our straps off, feet onto the foot bar. So legs can come to tabletop, we'll roll up to seated. Let's straddle the carriage here. So I'm gonna lighten my spring a little bit, taking off that black, adding a yellow, so moving closer to just one medium spring here. And we can come into cat-cow or a variation of it. Hands are on that foot bar, pressing the carriage away. And then when we're coming up, we're looking up, finding some extension. Flexing the spine, extending the spine. And our hands, next time we come up, can come over to the left corner. So I'm going to give a really good pull with the right arm here, maybe even looking under that right arm, and then coming up. And then over to the right side, giving a good pull with the left. Kind of like you're sticking your head out the door, seeing what your neighbor's up to. We've all been there. And then last one. Okay, I like this one. We'll come onto our Knees here, I'm gonna bring my headrest down, so I've got some room for my feet. Feet can come together on that headrest. My carriage is kind of small, so you might not have to go that far back. Hands can come onto the platform, and I'm just gonna come to a final child's pose here, finding some length into the spine, trying to glue my glutes down toward my heels. And then we'll come all the way up to seated. Well, thanks so much for joining me today. We focused on our upper body and our core, and I'll be back with another Reformer Pilates session next Monday.